thank you for everything, all things. We give you the glory. We give you the glory and the praise. We sing praises unto your name because we know you are our creator. And after that, you have commanded everything that it should reproduce after its kind. No, we're not creators. No, no, no. We only produce after our kinds. You made our bodies to reproduce. Yes, even from the first man and the first woman you've created, and we thank you. Yes, you are a healer because we have done those things which we should not have done. And these things come upon us even because of wrath or because of man-made devices. Still, it is an evil spirit. And we ask you to deal, and heal according to those that would turn their lives over and give you the glory and the praise. And we thank you for everything. Yes. Yes. I'm Mr. Clay. This is Leviticus. We watching Leviticus Chapter 13. 13th chapter of Leviticus. Walk with me. This is rather a lengthy scripture. We're going to turn this into 2 on TikTok. And the I spake unto Moses, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto his sons the priest. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh. When the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in the sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. Now, apparently he's referring to a person with darker skin. Now, these things are pronounced unclean. It may not be leprosy or anything. It is a plague of leprosy, but it's not leprosy that will spread. Now, he's gonna tell us more about this. Now, and the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague is in his sight, be at stay. In other words, if it's just still there, the same size, same everything, and the plague it spread not in the skin. See, this is Old English language now. You have to be careful with that. Then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. In other words, you're going to be set apart by your lonesome. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, it's talking about a darker skinned person now, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. Now, these things were fearful in that day and time. Even in this day and time, those things, when you have a scab that for some reason pop up, or something you just forgot about, and you began to panic, and you go to the doctor and he look at it, but now they can look at your blood and all these things. Back then they had to look at it, lock you up, and then if it comes back, and spread it, it is a disease. It is leprosy, some kind of leprosy. Sometimes it can be, a condition. But the fact is that these are the precautions that they took in order to protect the rest of the population. Yes, as ordered by the Most High. Now it says, and the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. In other words, there are different types of leprosy. There's not only one leprosy. Some leprosies are very devastating. They are very degenerative to the body. And we have to be careful of how we deal with things and what we eat and where we go and all these things. Now, in verse 10, he said, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be a quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin. Now, this is what they classified as leprosy. It can be a number of things, but this is what they classify as leprosy. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that have the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he should pronounce him clean, and hath the plague, it is all turned white. He is clean. In other words, vertigo. it could be vertigo. Okay, that's a type of leprosy also. Okay, now, according to them, now I don't know what these secular people, the other doctor call it, but it's what they would call vertigo. Now, but when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. In other words, this is a sore. He said, hold up, raw flesh is appearing in this guy. This guy could be contagious. See, this is what they were trying to avoid, was contaminants, contagions. Okay? Now, and the priest shall see the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Now, leprosy is a contagious disease. It is a degenerative disease. Vertigo is not. So they could still call it leprosy because it turneth one lighter or whiter than what he is. Now, if the raw flesh in turn again be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest. And the priest shall see him. And behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. He is clean. In other words, it could have been a sore he had or something he bumped himself up against and caused a scar, which caused it to be raw flesh. Now, the flesh also in which even the skin thereof was a boil and is healed. See, that is another one. A boil, a light-skinned boil that come upon your flesh can be leprosy. Okay? And somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. Now, and if the priest seeth, and behold, it be in the sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. Now, he said something's going on here. We don't want this to break out among the people. Now, if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, if it be not lower than the skin, but somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. Always 7. Always 7. Now, if it spread much broader in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. It is a plague. He's saying, hey, something is wrong with this guy. He has a contagious thing. He's a plague. He's going to be separated from the people. Just like you would take cattle, and a diseased cattle is among the cattle. You're going to take that person and you're going to separate them. Yes, that's what it is. And God is only teaching them how to govern the society that he has chosen, Eve and Eve and Jacob. Yes. Now, he says in verse 23, if the bright spot stay in its place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. In other words, you clean. It's just a boil. It's just a boil. Okay. Now, if there be any flesh in the skin, the whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh burneth, have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and in the sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. Yes, and you're going to be separated from the congregation, from the general population. Yes, until you heal or forever and live amongst those. See, back in those times, this has not only happened to Israel, but it has happened to other nations. And the same thing they would do. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and if it be spread much abroad in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in its place, the spread is not in the skin, but it is somewhat dark. It is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is an inflammation of the burning. In other words, a boil. You have inflammation on the lips, and you have boils, and you have zits and everything else. So these things, they didn't call them that back then. No, they didn't understand it as that back then. So it was explained to them according to their understanding. Okay? And if a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in the sight deeper than the skin, then there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and it is a dry scald, even leprosy upon the head or beard. Now, with those on TikTok, this will be the end of it, and I'm going to say peace. Now, for YouTube, if the priest look on the plague of the scald, and behold, it be not in the sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up shut up him that hath the plague of the scald 7 days. I'm reading this carefully now. And if the 7th day the priest shall look upon the plague, and behold, if the scald spread not, then there be in it no yellow hair, and the scald be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the scald shall not be he shaved, and the priest shall shut him up that hath the scald 7 more days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look upon the scald, and behold, if the scald be not spread in the skin, nor be in the sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. In other words, you're gonna wash. We don't care wherever they shut you up at. You're gonna wash. I don't know how uncontaminated that place had been, but if the scald spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the scald be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for a yellow hair; he is unclean. Now, but if the scald in his sight at a stay, that there is a black hair grown up therein, the scald is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Now, if a man also or a woman have in the skin their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh is darkish white, or if it's freckle spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. In other words, these just scabs, scalds, or whatever, something they got in the skin. Now, the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet he is clean. Now he that hath his hair fallen off from part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald. That's kind of funny, forehead bald. In other words, you got a cow lick or a setback or something. Now, and if there be in the bald head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. He's not forehead bald. Something's wrong with him. Okay, you have things like alopecia. You got hereditary baldness or whatever. These things still precautions have to be taken that the whole populace may be protected. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold. Now this is not religion. God is forming a people for himself. The sky daddy, as some of y'all call him. Not for you. We don't care. Go your way. Cut this off. Scroll down some more. Yeah. Go somewhere. This is for those who would come unto Israel. Those who would be before the Most High. Those who want to be with the children of Akobi, even the Bantu. Yes. He is a leprous man in verse 44. He is unclean, and the priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. In other words, he has a diseased head. That's why sometimes you should spray hats and those things that you wear. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent and his head bare. In other words, if you have a clothing store, you have clothes and you have hats and stuff. At the end of the day, you should be spraying inside the hats. People put the hats on their heads and everything. You should instruct your employees to spray some Lysol, just a light coat. It'll dry in there. It's not going to harm nobody once it dries. And it could be a lifesaver, or even save your business from being sued because you had some type of disease inside of that hat. Now, and the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put covering upon his upper lip, and they shall cry, unclean, unclean. Now, in today's society, that would be rather funny. But anyway, it was to tell society, hey, that you don't want to come near me because I don't want to affect the rest of my people because what? I love you. Love is fair. God is love. Yes. Okay, now, all the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled, and he is unclean. He shall dwell alone without the camp. Shall be his habitation be. He's not going to be among the populace. Okay? Now, we're talking about garments here. He said, the garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment, whether it be in the wrap or woof or linen or of woolen, whether in a skin or anything made of skin. If the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the skin, either in the wrap or in the woof or anything, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be shown unto the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut it up, that the plague 7 days. Shut up it that hath the plague. In other words, he's talking about the wool, the wrap, the linen, the cover, the blanket, or whatever. He said, look at it again. If it be greenish or reddish in the garment, what is he talking about? Mold. It could be black. It could be red. Be some type of mold, anything. I mean, we don't know. It's spirits cause a lot of things. They do. And they're given commandment. These things are to try us every day to see whether we believe God or not. Whether you agree with that or not, or whether you think it's fair or not, that's your problem. God do what he won't do. Thank you. Okay? You can say, I don't believe God. That don't cause God not to believe in himself. The devils believe God, and they don't even obey God in that sense. They're evil towards you. Now, he shall look on the plague in verse 51. On the 7th day, if the plague be spread in the garment, either in the wrap or in the woof or in a skin or any work that is made of skin, the plague is a fretting leprosy. It is unclean. In other words, you touch that thing or you go near that thing, you're liable to get unclean too, or whatever it was. See, the people, the Indians didn't have that type of technology or that information, apparently. Because if they did, when they gave them the blanket, they would have saw this disease in the blanket. Because it is something that will form and multiply. Sometimes even with dampness or heat. Now, he shall therefore burn that garment, whether wrap or woof in woolen or in linen, or anything of the skin wherein the plague is, for it is a fretting leprosy. It shall be burnt with fire. And if the priest shall look, and behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the wrap or in the woof or anything of the skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing wherein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more, and the priest shall look on the plague. After that it is washed. And behold, if the plague have not changed his color, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean. Thou shalt burn it in fire. It is fret inward, whether it be bare, inward, or without. Now, if the priest look, and behold, the plague is somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the wrap, or out of the woof. Now, if it appears still in the garment, either in the wrap, or in the woof, or anything of the skin, it is a spreading plague. Thou shalt burn that within the plague, wherein the plague is, with fire. And burn it, get rid of it. We're going to kill this thing. And some germs don't even last. They can last in fire. Get it right now. Now, he said, and the garment, either the wrap, woof, or whatsoever thing of the skin it be, which thou shalt wash, if the plague be departed from it, then it shall be washed a second time, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy in a garment, or of woolen or linen, either the woof, or anything of the skin, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean. Now, these were the instructions to the Levites to deal with the whole populace, in order that the people might be healthy. See, God had a good government. Yes, very good government. And it's up to us to really look at these things. Now, today we've learned this thing, some from this and some from different nations, and the way they understood how to diagnose people and how to treat different ailments, injuries, or diseases. Yes, God put these things. When something starts to talk to your mind and tell you something, try it. Try to give you a formula or some type of invention. Try it. It may be that a spirit dispatched from God had talked to your mind and told you how to do something. And with that, we're going to say, peace.